You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Arrow After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Arrow After Show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bing is for doing, and we are here at AFTERBUZZ doing another after show for Arrow Season 1, Episode 18, Salvation. I'm Kaori Takee, and joining me are...
Hey everybody, I'm Alikona Bradford.
Hi everyone, I'm Ann Campea.
So tonight, they started off with a website, I guess the Glades Betrayed, and going off of that website is really interesting because we get to see who is the next victim for this Glades Betrayed.
So wait, did they promote that website on the CW as well?
They did. Actually, one of our fellow YouTube commenters told us about it. They commented saying, check out this website called gladesbetrayed.com. And I went on there and, you know, lo and behold, it was a website with all the lists of the names that the Savior, our tonight's villain, was going to go after tonight. And there was a countdown clock counting down to tonight's episode. And so actually our YouTube commenter commented on it before I even found out about it on Stephen Amell's Facebook page, which he promoted it just today. So I think it's kind of neat that the studio thought of, you know, building this website and actually having an interactive experience for the fans.
Totally. I like that whole idea. And thank you for the YouTuber.
Yeah.
See, we do read your comments, and we actually do comment as well. So the episode starts off with Steven. I'm going by first name now.
All the time.
I mean,
I do that all the time.
We are like that, right?
We'd love to be.
Before you get into the story, because I know you're probably going to get into the story, maybe you were about to say this too, but the opening shot, I was like, hello, vertical pulley-uppy thing.
And Felicity's face.
That's what I was just going to say. Her face was like...
It was like the mid-season opener, too.
How did she concentrate in there?
I don't know, but it's becoming more blatant to me that there just might be a little bit of a crush going on.
Well, again, he has the right to show off that body. He works hard for it.
I'm sure all the Olicity fans were happy about that.
Yes, I am team her all the way.
I know. You're
like, we know.
No, but that's okay. I would much rather have them together than the Huntress or McKenna. I'm sorry.
I know. She's gone now. He's moving on.
Please don't come back. So, okay. All right. So we start off with Oliver. He's about to say that, you know, it's time to go get Jack Nichols.
Yeah.
And then we go to Jack Nichols' spot, and he's kind of sleeping or whatever, and then he gets scared. And someone takes him away, and then we got Oliver looking for him as the Arrow, and someone already took him.
Yeah.
So that was a surprise.
Honestly, I don't know about you guys, but my first thought was, it's the Dark Archer, and then he's going to get framed. And I totally thought that's where the episode was going. I did not see it being some average Joe Blow who's trying to
really average,
avenge
actually.
the city. Yes.
And we finally see him maybe 2 quarters or 3.
Toward the very end.
Towards the end of the show, and I'm like, that's the guy.
Wait, I was real surprised.
Wait, where's the costume? What's
right?
going on?
He didn't even look like he was strong enough to pick him up the way he did.
Right.
So I was a little surprised and taken aback by his stature.
Well, it looked like he had help too, because when, you know, I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but when they loaded Roy into the van, it looked like there was other people.
That's right.
So he might have had a team.
Quick question though, when you were going down the list in the website, didn't it have several other people on the list?
It did.
So that could mean potentially he might be dead, but there could be other people on his team that go after the people on the rest of the list.
I mean, I think I kind of want to leave that to predictions.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, but I think that's where the Glades Betrayed is going to start because of the ending, which I don't want to get into right now.
Okay.
Unless you want to.
No.
Go for it.
So yeah, so Nichols is stolen.
Somebody stole my Nichols.
Someone stole Nichols, and suddenly it's broadcast on everyone's phone.
Yeah.
That he has been kidnapped, and he has a countdown to kind of basically apologize for everything that he's done, and then this guy Joseph is going to shoot him.
Yeah.
Which he does. So of course this alarms Oliver, like, man, I don't know how to get this guy. Like, what did you think of this whole like Glade setup with?
I thought it was very intricate, you know, especially when Felicity thought she had found his location and Oliver was jumping across all these buildings just to find it, only to realize that it was not the right spot and the spot kept moving. I thought that was, you know, really smart, very clever by the writers to integrate, you know, that he was actually traveling by subway. And yeah, I was just really impressed. I was thinking the same thing, like, where the heck is this guy? Every time he would go into a new spot, I was just as more confused as Oliver was.
I want to say really great lineup with the stunts, because I know we've heard a lot of it on different websites as far as him performing his own stunts, and we finally got to see it, and it looked fantastic.
It did. I was really impressed. I'm like, was that him that did that stuff?
Yeah,
and you guys told me you guys thought it was him.
He needs to be on Ninja Warrior, I think. He's cut out for that show, I think.
Yeah, the Japanese one, not the American one. I'm just saying. I was surprised at how many deaths occurred. I know there were 2, but I didn't expect even the first one to happen. The first Jack, I didn't expect Jack Nichols to die, nor did I expect Gavin Carnahan.
You know what? I was actually really surprised that they showed it, not just for us to see, but for the entire actual Sterling City to see somebody get shot. For a lot of people, that was the first time they've ever witnessed someone die before. It was pretty traumatic for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's being broadcasted for everyone to see.
Yes.
From cell phones to TV. I mean, that was a huge change, and I think it's a pivotal moment in this episode. It's going to change the future episodes to come.
And I think Felicity's reaction to the death kind of spoke for everybody in the community, you know, and how just distraught she was seeing somebody get shot.
Yeah. You know, and I was going to say also, watching that, we forget, because she's a part of their team, that she actually hasn't seen what's been going on. She's been behind the computer. So it was a real, for me, not necessarily a slap in the face, but a huge reminder that she really doesn't.
But what does she expect?
Well, no, but it was genuine.
Yeah.
Her reaction was really genuine, which is I really liked about it. And this might be jumping ahead a little bit, but as far as her being able to talk to Oliver and say, you know, if I was in a relationship, how would I talk about my day? And for him at the end of the show to sit there and say, hey, Felicity, by the way, if you ever want to tell me about your day, I'm here. I know that wasn't verbatim, but that was the gist of what he was saying, and that was really sweet.
It is, and it's good because, again, they have each other to depend on, and it's important for them to build this alliance not only on a personal, professional level, but on like a friendly level, because that's all they really have. Maybe Tommy will join in. I doubt it.
Nah, I don't foresee that. But you know, I was gonna say also too, being a woman, and not to play the female male card, but men, they're a little bit better at keeping their emotions in, maybe not necessarily dealing with them. And for women, because we are so emotional, it does help to have somebody to be able to talk to about things.
Yeah, I can't imagine not being able to talk about my emotions.
Yeah.
And they subtly showed that, you know, with Oliver just saying, I give up, I don't want relationships, I'm done, you know, just very coldly saying, I'm cut off. Whereas Felicity really, you know, it really hurt her, and you could see that in her face. So
agreed.
This is the first time too, though, that we see Oliver go after someone as Oliver.
Yes, good point.
Did you guys realize that?
Yeah, very bold.
Yeah.
I was surprised that, I mean, I know you guys don't agree with me, that no one realized, like, hey, that's Oliver Queen, because he's a well-known person in Starling City.
But I mean, how many times do you walk throughout a big city with I don't know if they're sky rises, but tall buildings, and look in the air and be like, oh, look,
there's noise.
You don't think, you know, there's so many, like you said, noise, city sounds going on and stuff like that. So I don't know.
I just think that, you know, he's got it a little easy by not being caught and being disguised the way he is, that he hasn't been discovered to be Arrow Oliver yet. That's why I'm always like, I'm waiting for that little CW like mistake where people are like, well, come on, you know. Guess it hasn't really happened too much yet.
Do you guys want to maybe bring up the motive behind why this guy Joseph was doing all this?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, because I want to get into, he was talking about the fact that his wife apparently, I don't know if she was in the Glades when it happened, but she got gunned down by some gangster. And so he's trying to seek revenge on everything. And blows my mind that he's over here telling Oliver, you're just like me. We're the same. And in a sense, that is the public opinion of who the Arrow is. You kill people. They're bad. Why can't I go around just killing people?
Well, the mentality is different. Granted, we don't know Joseph very well, but Oliver doesn't really want to kill people. He just wants to fix the city.
Right. But do you think that was a huge wake-up call for him as far as the way people see him?
The thing is, it's not the first time that people have talked about that before. Like, the Huntress has thrown that in his face. Like, what makes you think we're different people?
Right. But I guess I feel like the way he did it, though, in my mind, listening to him, it was more compelling. And because he's not the Huntress who's trying to be a superhero with the mask and the this and that. He's just a regular dude that something bad happened to, and now he's thinking they're on the same team. I don't know, for some reason it hit me a little bit different when he said it to Oliver.
I can see what you're saying. I mean, even in real life, we see a lot of copycat killers out there, you know, and mentally they think what they're doing is right, but really, where do you draw the line?
Right.
And I guess Oliver has a list he's going by. He has a code, or at least he's trying to live by this code. So maybe that, to the viewer, is what makes what he's doing right versus what Joseph was doing wrong.
Yeah, I mean, granted, we don't have Joseph's backstory other than the fact that he is seeking revenge, but...
And it's really the reason people are really angry with him in a sense as far as fans is he was going after Roy. That was the big one. We're not as emotionally attached to the other two gentlemen that got shot, but we like Roy. Well, may or may not. You guys might not like him.
I like Roy.
But he's obviously being introduced to being a pretty important character. So for us to see him in that light, now we're really angry at Joseph. Like, what are you doing?
But I think Joseph is part of a clan. That's my suspicion.
Okay.
But I think that's why I don't think he looks too scrawny to be doing this alone. I know this sounds kind of weird.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Considering the weaponry he had, which was not much, I feel like there's something behind him.
Right.
So, but yeah, Joseph was definitely. I was surprised that it was him.
Yeah.
Again.
So was I.
There's more people on the list, as you pointed out, Kaori. You know, there's more people on that list on the website. There's, I think, 4 people that we didn't even get to. So who's to say they're not going to come? Those names aren't going to come up later in an episode.
I feel like they will. They should, because now I'm curious. Looking at that list, going through that list while watching the show, you get more curious.
Yeah. Right. So what did you guys think about the makeout session with Thea and Roy? It went from, I hate your guts, let me save you, I'll kiss you in the hospital, to let's just full on be in my bedroom and exchange saliva, you know?
That's all it takes for a man, is for a girl to kiss him while he's getting a needle put into him. And the next scene will be makeout session on his couch.
That's how I've gotten all of my boyfriends.
Yes. I go to the hospital and just like hope that someone needs my smooches.
That's awesome.
It was a little speedy. No pun intended. Okay, pun. I think, you know, I don't know. I don't really, at this point, care for the relationship. I don't know that it advances any of the storylines, but I do like that Thea has found somebody.
You know what? I will say this about the two of them. I feel the chemistry between them more than I feel it between Tommy and Laurel.
Yeah,
that's
their
true.
kiss is like,
I agree.
Whereas, and then maybe because they're young teenagers, I don't know, but they were just like, ugh. I'm in here.
I don't know. I still feel like Roy Harper's kiss is lukewarm. He's more like in it for the nookie. So he can get that cookie.
Yeah, I mean, he still turned around and he was his old self, which is a big butthole.
I mean, she's sitting there worried about falling for the wrong guy because he apparently bought a gun. And so she's worried. She leaves and she's like, I can't be away from him. She goes back and he's mad at her. How did that happen?
You know, I don't know, because he feels like she's trying to change him. He says, accept me for who I am, which is, this is my life. It doesn't get any better than this. Quit trying to save me.
But that's an assumption. Like, the moment she sets foot and the cinematography of the leaves falling.
Did I miss that?
I was like staring at it. I was like, ooh, look at that.
I missed that too.
And then the first thing he says is like, I don't want to hear the whole spiel or whatever. Like, he didn't give her a chance.
But that's a dude thing. That is such a dude. No offense, gentlemen, but it's a man thing. It's a pride thing. It's a stubborn thing. You don't want to be told that you need to change. He might know deep down, but he doesn't know any better. And I feel like it's also an insecurity thing.
Well, I think that women have problems assuming as well.
Well, yes. I agree, but I feel like...
I'm just defending the men out there a little bit.
Him this might be me going real deep and reaching for something, but I feel like him saying that, in a sense, there's no hope for me, this is my life, that's a self-esteem thing. Because if you thought more of yourself, you would want more for yourself and you'd want change.
True.
So he's obviously at a low, I think.
Yeah, and I think he finally realized it, finally having no choice, but, he's about to die. And the episode is called Salvation. I think it really hit with Roy Harper's character in this episode, where he finally realized, okay, I am doing a lot of bad things, but I think I deserve a second chance.
But he didn't even fight for a second chance. That kind of surprised me. He didn't beg. It did and didn't. He didn't beg. He sat there and shoot me. It's okay. I'm not worth it. No one's gonna miss me.
How about in the comic book? Is Roy Harper kind of at a low like that when Oliver comes and saves him?
Yeah, yeah. So depending on what story arc you're reading, but he is like I said before, he's a heroin addict.
Yeah.
He's in the Glades also, and just low on life. But I like the way that Colton Haynes portrays him in this episode. We finally see kind of the Roy Harper we see in the Young Justice comic books, and he does a very good job of portraying that on camera. So
yeah, I really like the Roy Harper character myself.
I like that this sounds weird. I like that he saw the Green Arrow come in. Well, we don't know him as the Green Arrow yet, but we saw him come in, and he saw somebody get killed. It's shocking for him too. He was there in person, live.
Yeah.
I think that was a changing moment for him too, as well as being held at gunpoint and having all these thoughts race through your mind of everything that you've done wrong.
Well, I think that's what else is going to change him is the fact that after he was saved by Oliver, he still had like the arrow. So I obviously...
Okay, I missed this a little bit because I just happened to look up from my notes, but was he pulling it out of his backpack? And if so, how did it even get in there?
I think it was in his pocket.
Yeah.
How did the arrow get in your pocket?
There was like half of the arrow, or I don't know.
I think Oliver shot him, and then he like trapped him against like a pole or something. Viewers, please.
So maybe
I thought he was
off
cutting
there.
the rope,
Yeah.
so he could wiggle himself free while the guy was distracted.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was trying to do that, but in the process, he got an arrow.
It just
in.
like shot
his memorabilia
into
being
his
saved.
Yeah, just keep this.
But I was so distracted by the fact that, okay, you're being held by gunpoint, you're really scared, you're finally let go, arrow saves you, but the first thing you think about going to is the club. I know Thea is there, but I was cracking up in my head thinking, yeah, I'm gonna go to the club tonight, that's fine. I almost got shot, it's cool,
Let's be fair, Thea was there too at the club, hanging out.
And Oliver got to see, or he witnessed the embrace that told him, ooh, this is more than a friendship.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
He seemed to take it pretty well.
I think so too. I don't think he minded.
Maybe he was traumatized, and so it was like, okay, anything else is just bird.
Or maybe he related to the character because the character is considered a bad boy, and we see Thea ask Laurel for advice. What do you do with a bad boy? You run. So maybe he identifies with the character of having a second chance, because in a sense, Oliver did have a second chance by having that life-changing event of being on the island.
Yeah, I think this is the beginning of the Oliver Roy Harper.
Oh, definitely.
So it's going to be good.
This was a better introduction to Roy Harper, I think, than the first episode.
Let me snatch your
purse.
purse.
Oh, yeah. The first episode was
Right?
wash.
Yeah.
Well, not the episode, but the introduction.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Sarah, too, because I guess Diane, is that her name, Diane? Yeah, Diane.
No, Dinah.
Dinah.
Or
Yeah.
Dina.
Dinah?
Anyway,
Dina.
sorry,
With an
Dina. She and Quentin are looking for Sarah, so their daughter Laurel ends up looking a little further. She gets a hold of the Chinese embassy, and they get a hold of the woman in the picture who has a baseball cap that has the symbol of Starling
Something or other sports team.
Sports team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rockets. I think the Starling Rockets.
There you go.
And she calls the chick up, who ends up being in the United States.
Totally
Of
wrong.
course.
But you know what,
Yeah.
though? I saw that one coming.
Yeah.
I think we saw that coming from earlier episodes. It was just a matter of knowing whether or not the mother really believed it or if it was a lie.
Well, I kind of was hoping that it would have been like, oh yeah, Sarah's alive. I mean, it would have been super cheesy, but I kind of was hoping that would have happened. Yeah.
I felt really bad for Quentin, though. Like, you see in the beginning of the episode, he's out. He's all clean shaven again. He looks refreshed. because he finally has motivation again, even though they don't know whether Sarah is alive or not. He finally, I think, feels like he has a purpose in his life again.
Okay, but wait, hold on. In that opening scene where we actually see him with his ex-wife or whatever you want to call him, and Laurel walks in, I'm looking at it like, awkward, because Laurel walks in, why is all this affection going on? You guys having dinner? What, everything's better? But my thought is this. You have a daughter. She's alive. Enjoy her. Embrace her for being here. Because how would it feel to be Laurel? I would feel like, am I chopped liver? Because I've been here. After she died, you guys have been so involved in the fact that you lost a daughter and so sad that you've forgotten that I'm still here and I'm still alive. And hey, P.S., I was the one that got screwed over because my sister was with my man.
Yeah.
Right,
but they're still so concerned about her. I don't know. For me, it would hurt me a lot that my parents were so involved in the other sister than me.
Wouldn't you want to be like a little more understanding? Like parents, I don't think parents will ever get over the loss of a child.
Of course not.
So the thought of having their child being alive is something that they would at least want to try and delve further and see if it's a possibility.
But that's why Laurel was so upset with her father, though, is Dad, we've had to get over this. It took us a long time, but you have finally come to the point where we're through it. Help Mom realize that.
It's like dating a guy that you like but know isn't right for you, but then he says something and you're like, let's give it another shot. It's that kind of feeling.
Right.
Of course, but with a daughter.
I just feel like, well, no, I mean, and I agree, and maybe she should be excited a little bit too to hope that her sister's alive. I just feel like the demeanor that's been set for this show in general is she was the other sister. Because Lance, the reason Lance has a chip on his shoulder, the reason why he hates Oliver, it's all because Sarah's gone. Well, what about Laurel?
Well, it's really nice actually to have Officer Lance take a break from his obsession with Oliver. So it's nice to see this aspect.
And moved on to another obsession, though.
Yeah.
A very quick obsession.
It was a very quick obsession. He's probably going to resort back to his ways. But yeah, I mean, I do see what you're saying about Laurel being, I guess, second or
chopped liver,
not the favorite. And I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Do you think like she feels that way?
Yeah, I totally see it now that the way you described it. That was really well put. But
do you think that's the reason why she's kind of acting all frustrated that they're reliving this?
I think so.
Situation.
A little bit of sibling jealousy, a little bit, because I feel like, and I could be wrong, my memory could be wrong, but it seemed like even when she was alive, she was the pride and joy sister. Even though, and I want to talk about the fact that Mom admits to knowing that she was involved with Oliver. You should feel guilty. No, you shouldn't feel guilty. You didn't make your daughter die. Who knew that was going to happen? But at the same time, first of all, what an awkward position to be a mother of two girls involved with the same dude, and one sister is obviously doing wrong by her other one, but she's in love.
But here's the thing, though. Dinah actually said,
"Go for it."
Go for it, because she did something similar, which I don't understand.
With Quentin, I guess.
Yeah, I guess with Quentin, because she looked at him in the eye and he was like, you know? I don't know. I thought that was kind of something that's going to definitely change Laurel. It's going to get her closer to anger or...
I don't know. How conflicted would you be, with just knowing that? And then at the end of the episode, I think we see her say, let's keep in touch. So just like, kind of like,
well,
what do you want to do?
Weird, because Mom already betrayed you the first time around by up and leaving the family after she died.
Yeah.
Again, hi, what, am I chopped liver? Like, you're just gone? And I don't know. And then now it's like, oh, and by the way, you knew my sister was involved with my fiance.
I guess it does seem like Laurel wasn't the favorite for her mother, but I don't feel like the father.
Well, there was that comic though I had brought up a while ago where it was the dynamic of the Lance family, and it really does show that Quentin did kind of have a little bit more favoritism towards Sarah. And he points out to Laurel that you need to protect your little sister. She's a good person, but then in the end of the comic, we see that she's actually, the girls at school are accusing her of sleeping or hooking up with this guy, and she's saying, no, I'm not doing it. So at the end of the comic, you see that she actually is.
Okay.
So if you read that particular comic, you'll kind of get a sense that maybe he was playing favorites with his daughters.
Yeah,
which is sad.
Yeah,
it is
for Laurel.
Sad. But I guess I don't see the favoritism too much, other than that one part where the mother I definitely think the mother liked her, but I don't really see favoritism with the father in the CW version, but I don't know.
Do you think we'll see Dina again?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Especially with Laurel leaving that open-ended, call me up sometime.
Right.
Call me, maybe.
And I would like to see more of her, too. Because I would like to see that family develop and see how that happens.
And they didn't give us any insight as to whether the mom is the original Black Canary or not.
No, I felt
Not
like
at
I
all.
read something about it, and I don't remember.
I
So
know,
they might bring her back for that.
I mean, we pondered the thought, but a lot of our YouTubers were saying, no, it's Laurel, it's Laurel.
Yeah.
So, who knows? But before we continue, I would like to thank our viewers for listening and watching. So please go to iTunes and rate us, leave a comment. 5 stars is better. And we definitely comment back. Go to YouTube, check us out, and thank you again. And leave your comments, and we will keep the conversation going. Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about Sarah,
Yes.
Ian Roy, and then now let's talk a little bit about, like, while we're in Starling City, let's talk about Moira.
Ugh.
Oh, jeez.
That's my feeling towards her.
Yeah.
She contradicts herself a lot because everything is.
Well, she's a mess.
Yeah, she is. She's a hot train wreck because she's doing it all for her family, but she's just betraying people right and left in such a selfish way. It's gonna catch up to her.
Oh yeah, of course. I kind of think that Malcolm might know that she has something to do with it. So
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
playing her.
I do too.
because that would have been way too easy.
I'll say that ending really caught me off guard. I didn't see Frank getting shot or arrowed.
Arrowed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did actually. I had as soon as I saw that she teamed up with Frank, I was like, okay, she's gonna put him in the line of fire. And if Dark Archer was that smart to be able to figure out, or Malcolm was able to figure out that Frank was behind it, then he's got to know that Moira is also involved.
That's what I think. I mean, like when he called her and said, "I found out that I can find out who this person is through this and that," and she was like tripping on her heels and stuff, and he hung up the phone. It looked like he was like he knew what was going on.
Yeah. He's
So-
just playing with her.
I'm a little worried about her.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is totally off. But I
Go.
kind of was hoping she would have fallen on her face.
That well,
That would have been
then it
so
would have been
awesome.
super obvious.
Every girl's had that whole wobbly
Yeah,
ankle heel
yeah.
thing. That's hilarious that she fell. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so funny.
But
to
I
our
love
program.
her character. I continue to love Moira's character. I don't know
Really?
about you guys, but she is my favorite character on the show.
Really?
Wow,
I mean, she does
that's
a good
bold
job
statement.
playing it, but she irritates me.
It's just there's the complexity of her character. For right now, it's limitless. You know, they can go any which way with this character, and as she continues to dig the hole deeper, eventually they're gonna have to bring her out of it, or make that a level playing field for Moira. And it's gonna be interesting to see where the writers take it. Are they going to bring her to her salvation, or are they just going to let her, die off as a character?
The thing with Moira is like she has so much knowledge. So if she were to tell the viewers what was going on, we would know so much more. Or something would have happened to her, we would also know so much more.
Right.
So I totally see why you think Moira is like,
okay, but what I didn't get is when Frank got arrowed down,
yeah.
she made the call that made him. I mean, obviously Malcolm traced him down, but I feel like because they had the conversation, her and the Dark Archer, they were working together, her not knowing it's Malcolm. You pretty much had this arranged. Yes, it was to save your butt, but you had it arranged. So
Yeah.
for you to get in the car afterwards and have a moment and be like, why are you crying?
She did pretty much have it arranged. I felt.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
did.
I mean, maybe
did.
it's
Yeah.
a cry out of guilt and it's
Yeah.
my last resort, but at the same time, part of me feels like you have no right to cry over that because it's because of you.
She doesn't like. I feel like she feels bad for things that happen, but she always is the catalyst of it. So that's really frustrating, and that's probably why she's not my favorite character. So,
But her driving force is her kids and her family.
well,
And
she,
when somebody is willing to do anything for their family, you have to, in a sense, respect that.
I feel like
side of them.
she's done some shady stuff to Oliver as well.
This is true. I mean, shoot, putting him on the boat.
Yeah,
She knew
Having
it was
him
gonna crash.
kidnapped.
Exactly.
yeah, she knew that
exactly.
was gonna happen, and she had him
Her
kidnapped.
parenting tips are not that
Not
great.
like number
but,
one mom
know.
award material.
I mean, honestly, if I was her and I'm trying to save, why don't they just all move away and change their alias or something? But no, she just needs to.
they got the money to do it.
They have the money to do it. So, I mean, what do you think of Moira?
Like I said, she gets on my nerves a little bit. I feel like she's in way over her head and trying to do too much. She should have kept it low. As far as trying to assassinate Malcolm, she should have left it alone.
But see, like, I wonder what she's doing, because I don't feel like she's any kind of mastermind, but she knows a lot. But then she's also not athletic, so I don't know exactly what her position is in this whole scheme.
Well, we don't know from the get-go, from when the series started, why she even had herself that much involved.
Right.
We don't know if her husband had gotten her involved, or maybe she was a mastermind behind her husband and he didn't even know he's doing all this wrong stuff in the city and she's ploying and plotting on her own. We don't know.
No, we don't.
Just like you said, we don't know what she knows.
And you know what? I also want to say, where the heck is Walter?
I was just about to ask you the same question.
I don't know. I haven't read anything about him coming back. I don't even know if he's come back this season.
We have not talked about him. I mean, the CW has not. They have not talked about him in a long time.
But that was another weird partnership to me. I didn't feel the chemistry at all. It felt like a business relationship. Like he got involved with her so that way he could step in and take over the company.
Well, no, I think he genuinely loved her.
There was a balance there, you know, and Oliver saw him, and Oliver and Thea saw him as kind of a father figure to them. So at least they created that balance of mom and dad for the kids.
But I mean, I'm sure he got kind of obsessive with her when he started discovering all these things about her as well. Right. So I definitely think there was attachment there towards her. I do want to see him come back, though. He's kind of a cool character.
Do you think he'll come back hating Moira or loving Moira still?
But we don't know if he knows that she's the one who arranged everything.
Yeah, I know.
He could totally be in the dark about it and just be happy to be home and I love you and let's resume back to where it was.
I don't think it'll come out that easy. I mean, maybe he'll escape.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Do we know his background as far as his abilities?
Maybe they should check the subway system. Maybe he's in those subway lines like everybody else was.
Right. Yeah. Let's get into the island a little bit, because there was some pretty good island snippets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sure. So they have the control, the motherboard, and they want to exchange it to get a ticket back home.
Do we know, really quick, do we know what's actually on the motherboard that they want so badly?
To start the missiles?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
To control the missiles.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's the remote control.
But we don't know what they want to do with the missiles.
No.
Shadow does.
Shadow does.
She knows the whole plan, apparently.
And you totally called it last week when you said you think Shadow's going to join the dynamic duo.
You know, the scene from Paley Fest had a feeling it was going to come up in this episode, and it was coming. You know, the whole connection with Shadow and Yao Fei. Sadly, we saw Yao Fei get left behind, though. That was really sad.
Yeah. Do you think he got killed?
No,
I don't think so.
I hope not.
I would never be able to leave my dad. No matter what. It's so weird. I sometimes I look at him like that takes more strength to leave your father in a line of fire than stick with him.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, so they try to cut a deal to get home, and obviously the deal is not going to happen.
No.
And the bad guys.
Knew that. I don't know how Slade Wilson, for being as intelligent of a man as he is, I feel like you should know better.
So true.
I know, but I was kind of hoping that might be like a way of getting back home, but then he crashed onto another smaller island, and that's why at the beginning of the season he was like on this rock or whatever. I was just thinking random, like, well, maybe they did, but I guess they didn't. And then we find Shadow, and
really quick, when she actually did speak English, because Slade seemed quite surprised, did you guys hear an Australian accent?
I heard an accent.
Definitely an accent.
I wasn't sure.
It wasn't a Japanese accent.
You know, I wasn't sure what it was.
Although, aren't they supposed to be... The original characters are Japanese, but in the...
Japanese.
Yeah, excuse me. The original characters are Japanese, but here they're Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Exactly.
I liked seeing that she could whoop butt.
Yes.
Wait, on the island,
that was awesome.
In the comic books, on the island, is it Chinese?
On the island in the comics, it's Japanese, I believe.
So
on the island here, it's Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I want to look into why they did that.
Yeah, not really sure.
Yeah. But sorry,
Shadow. Yeah, she kicks butt.
She
She's
was
awesome.
going
She was
in,
good.
and even
The
for a
new
moment,
Nikita.
well, for a moment, Slade stopped, like, okay.
I would have done that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it. But I mean, look at who her dad is.
That's what I was
That's
thinking.
a given.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, they wanted to spare her life because they realized, hey, we're not gonna get this ticket anyway. And what happened is this whole shootout, which I thought was the coolest scene of this whole episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And somewhere in the mix, the other fires other people go and actually find the motherboard in the tree trunk that they hid. That sucked a little bit, you know. What was the whole point?
Yes, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, okay, mood, end story.
But I guess they traded, in essence, they traded that for Shadow, and Shadow's going to bring a lot of dynamic to the, you know, awesome twosome that we have right now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And you know, in the comic books, I wanted to point out that Shadow actually plays a big role in Oliver's life.
Yes.
Have you read a little bit
well,
about that?
I've been reading about what's going on as far as in the future of the show. I'm not sure if they're taking it exactly in the same direction of the comic
that'd be
book.
interesting.
But I definitely want to talk about that when we start talking about our predictions and our news and stuff.
Oh, I want to hear it now. Okay, fine, we'll wait. But yeah, is there anything else in this episode that we want to talk about? The big one, obviously. Sorry, I was like, the end of the episode,
Yes, that's what I have
has
here.
the journal, and the journal in the light of the computer with the subway map matches the symbol of the journal, which is the Glades. So obviously there's so much more going on with the Glades. Like, what did you think of that moment?
I mean, well, I already thought that the center was going to be the Glades just because of the fact that it was such a rough part of the town. And for anybody who's trying to plan something, it would be ideal because it's just more discreet, first of all. Second of all, there's probably a lot of dingy random places you can hide out and do stuff. But I don't know if that's what it's leading up to as far as it being the, I want to say like the center of everything, or if there's a plan on the Glades, if that makes sense.
Or under the Glades with the subway system.
Yeah.
But I always thought, you know, because the drug is being trafficked through that, you know, area of the town, that's going to be an integral part of where either, you know, the criminal activity is, what has to do with the big plan. So I wasn't so much surprised to hear that the Glades, everything on that list leads back to the Glades. It was more so that that symbol was the Glades. That was kind of neat that they
Really cool.
they did that. I was surprised about that.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the ending a lot.
I often wonder, though, when the writers were planning this out, because obviously, originally, they knew how many they were going to write, but they do it in sections. That symbol was obviously from the beginning part of the season, so is it something that you just decided to make it a line, or is it something they had in their mind way far in advance?
I think they have to plan like a full season in advance.
Right. At least they know where we're going to start, where we're going to end. Let's fill in
the
between.
blanks.
I would assume that's how
Well,
they
because,
did
you know,
it.
you always hear the actors when they're being interviewed, well, I really don't know what's going to happen in my character, but I keep reading ahead in the script, hoping this will happen or that'll happen, but it's not written yet.
Yeah.
You know? And so, I don't know. That's
Yeah,
where I was
maybe
going
there
with
is
that.
like a point A and point B, and then everything in between is the
Filler
fill in the
in.
blanks. Yeah.
That makes sense.
The symbol actually wasn't what I wanted to bring up. It was the little bit of chemistry we started to see with Oliver and Laurel at the end of the episode.
Ah, yes.
And don't you like how they were playing Rihanna's song Stay while they were having that conversation?
I do not like Rihanna's music.
Neither do I.
Oh,
Sorry, guys.
high five.
A to the
Okay.
men.
I don't really care for the song, but it was more like the lyrics really, you know, fit in with what's going on with those two characters right now.
Sorry.
I know that it's supposed to happen. It's Oliver
Yeah.
Laurel thing. I just don't really. I'm not prepared for it to happen just yet. So seeing it happen even a little bit was a little frustrating for me.
Well, and she's still with Tommy,
yeah,
too.
I felt like they tiptoed around it, though.
Yeah.
It's almost like that high school, hey, you want to go to dinner? Sure, but it was very, you know, she had the moment where she touched him
Yeah.
or whatever, but
And
they were avoiding the obvious because just the look
Here's
between the
something
two of
that
them.
bothered me is when he said, "Do you want to have dinner or coffee sometime?" and she said, "Why?" Who answers that question with a why?
I don't
Why
know. Maybe
else?
because he got her sister killed, and
I
there's all this
know.
other history there.
That's
Who
true.
knows?
That's true.
Well,
It's
you
funny,
know,
though.
I think honestly the fact that Felicity mentioned that she's not in a relationship and she emphasized that she's single and she wouldn't know what to do because she feels alone and all that stuff. I think that triggered Oliver into feeling lonelier. And so when he saw Laurel, he wanted to talk to her. And also the fact that he saw his kid's sister with another man. He's
Right,
like, man, I'm
right.
really alone right now.
Right. Well, Diggle
So-
even points out to him, Oliver, you're still living on the island. And he closed with that same line. When she said why, he said, because I don't want to be living on an island
God,
anymore.
why would you say why? If a man asks me to dinner, I say no. I don't say why. Or it's a meal for $3.99. That's what it is.
Well, in the mind of Miss Kaori.
I know.
Excuse me. I just didn't like that answer at all.
See, but okay, going back to Felicity though, and she was just saying it in conversation, but it could have been like, hey, I'm kind of lonely, and you know, I'm not in a relationship, and we're in the same lifestyle together.
Felicity's got no game like that.
No, she's pretty obvious. She'd be pretty blunt. You know?
That's true. But I like that about her character. She's very blunt.
She's cute.
Yeah, I do like that character too.
Go for Felicity.
Thea would be that kind of girl. Like, hey, I kind of single.
Not even rubbing shoulders. She'd just
she'd be like, oops, I dropped my napkin. Let me go reach to get that for you.
What do you guys think of how Tommy reacted when he was there with Oliver and Thea? And they were.
It was weird. Did you feel it was weird?
I thought it was really weird.
It was, I mean, granted it was a big brotherly hug, but the embrace with the face was a little bit crossing the line.
I felt like Tommy was like, grrr, a little bit like, oh man. He understands now, but then at the same time, it's like.
But in the beginning of the season, didn't you guys feel like maybe they could go down that path of Tommy and Thea? Not even just a little bit?
Yes, a little bit. Yeah. Thea did come on to Tommy.
Did she?
In the beginning.
She did.
Very beginning, yeah.
Bad memory.
Wow.
Yeah. Could happen.
I think she was drunk that night, though.
Probably.
And then she threw up. Leave it to Thea, because she has that bad girl quality. Yeah. And that's the funny thing, is why would a bad girl want to turn a bad boy good? So I think there's a match there.
True.
Yeah. I kind of like their relationship.
Sometimes you try to change things about people that you want to change about yourself. It's like that whole concept of when you don't like something about somebody, really it's just a reflection of something that you do that you don't like about yourself.
That's true. That's a relationship talk right there. Alikona 101.
Right? Dr. Kona. Call me.
Is there anything else about this episode you guys want to touch base on?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, that's everything.
And you guys got news and gossip?
Yes, ma'am.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Shall I go?
Let's go.
Okay. I don't know how newsy and gossipy this is, but I like to be on the internet, look up information about all the shows. There's a website, and I'm sure you fans have already seen it, but it's called spoilers.com. It does not necessarily tell you what's going to happen next, so don't worry about that. But you get to see some really cool pictures, and there's going to be, I think in the next either episode or two, we're going to see flashbacks of, I want to call him Steven, Oliver and Laurel when they're younger. So there's some pictures going on with this wig that he's him and the wigs. You're a great looking guy, but the wigs. And it's funny because there's a picture on Perez Hilton and it says Stephen Amell something about rocking the retro wig and looking hot and doable or something.
What?
Something something. I don't know. I'm just repeating what I read. But I just thought it was funny that they're like, he's got this retro wig, and I'm looking at it like, I don't know how cool and retro that is, but whatever. So the point of my story is just to tell you guys, if you want to get a sneak peek at pictures of the future without being spoiled with what's going on, check out spoilers.com. Also, I wanted to talk about, and we can talk about Shadow because I'm sure you know a little bit about her background, but she's going to obviously have some significance with Oliver. Right. And little things to pick up on. She used to be a lawyer. I don't know if it was like that in the comic book, but lawyer. Laurel just left the island, or just left mainland on an island, missing Laurel, and here's this girl who's a lawyer too. So possible romance, and the fact that they also have the same tattoo. You don't get the same tattoo as another girl if she doesn't mean anything to
Unless you're being branded, though. Could be.
It's possible, but I'm gonna go with the romance route.
I will say, do you want me to just elaborate a little bit on Shadow in the comic here? There's an interesting story arc with Shadow and Oliver. And she actually, they fight together, they save Black Canary, but at some point, supposedly she rapes Oliver in the comic.
Whoa!
And she comes back later on, and says, hey, I have this son named Robert, he's yours.
What?
And so it's, you know, Green Arrow comics, they touch on a lot of things, from drug addiction to rape to a lot of things. And so, I mean, the comic kind of alluded to the fact that she did rape him, but then there's another comic that came out afterwards that was maybe saying, oh, it was consensual. But either way, they had a relationship in the comic books. It was a very strong chemistry, and so we might see that on the show too.
Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
How does she, I mean, I know she's a martial arts master. and I know that men
You
do
are
get
not gonna ask
maybe
this
men
question.
do get occasionally raped by women. It does happen. It is a serious matter. But you're the Arrow. You're a superhero, and you got raped by Shadow.
Now, I didn't follow this series so much, but what I read was that he was drugged when it happened.
Okay, that makes sense.
He was recovering from something, and he was on medication when it happened.
Sneaky little
She
girl.
really wanted
She wanted to
him.
trap him just a little bit.
That's not how I want to have a man.
No, that is
I would
not
like
how
to
I
have
want
the
to have a
pride
man.
of knowing that I snagged him all on my own.
And it was all natural.
Yes.
I
Thank
would
you.
go further, but this is
PG-13.
PG.
Okay.
That is interesting.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, but like that shadow, the shadow tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
But she already had it when she met Oliver, so I don't think they like.
No, that's what I'm saying. He got it after her. But why would you get the same tattoo as a woman unless she was something significant? Or maybe the tattoo had a significant meaning of like a cult of some
It could
sort.
be like a Yao Fei thing.
But I mean, maybe.
Guess we'll see.
Tribute to. Who knows?
Yeah, right. What else, got?
Let's see. What else do I have? What happens when Tommy realizes that Laurel's been working with the Arrow? Yeah. Sorry. I'm like, oh, ding, with my own notes. But obviously he's going to realize that because Oliver is Arrow, and then she's been working to help clean up the city with Oliver, and she's got this weird attraction that just makes room for him to get more jealous.
Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, we were all kind of predicting that. Often.
Right.
It's going to be one of those big reasons why he might turn into, obviously, Merlin.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, that's what I got for tonight.
I got 3 quick things.
Sure. Awesome. Yay.
I forgot to mention the Flash.
Oh yeah.
What do you call it?
The
Playing homage to the Flash in this episode where Dina Lance is leaving and she's like, I gotta go home to Central City, which Central City in the comics is Flash's hometown. And she says, I gotta go home in a flash or something like that. So that was really neat. But in terms of news and gossip, I have WGN is actually going to be playing a marathon of all the Arrow episodes up to this point.
Ooh.
So if you haven't seen them and you want to catch up, look out for that. I think it's happening 3 weekends in April or something. And also WonderCon, again, just mentioning it. WonderCon, Arrow's going to have a panel on Sunday. I know for some of you it's Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to those. But, you know, if you can make it out, it's in Anaheim, and they're going to do a Q&A. They're actually going to show footage or maybe even a full episode that they haven't aired at the panel. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
I'm excited. I'll be there. Say hi to me if you see me.
Yes, Anne will be there on Sunday. I will be there on Saturday.
Yay.
Maybe we'll be dressed up.
Maybe.
I have some predictions.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
But let's start with your predictions because I kind of cut you off in the beginning of this after show.
Yes.
When we were talking about.
I'm like, what was I talking about?
Gosh, we were talking about. We didn't want to go further into it. Do you remember?
Shadow, which we just did.
No. Was it Shadow or was it
I don't think it was Shadow. Okay, you know what?
Moving right along.
Let's move right along. I just wanted to, put a Band-Aid on my.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Remember.
So, prediction-wise, I think that coming up, obviously, with this Glades website, there's obviously going to be more murders. And obviously with the symbol and the subway thing, there's going to be more murders coming out of the Glades.
So wait, is this website now going to parallel the show for the rest of the season?
I don't know, but there's quite a couple... there's a good amount of names out there. And then it also says, like, what they've done wrong. And, yeah, it goes on for a little bit.
Interesting.
But you can feel like that they're finally kind of going towards the home stretch with this episode.
Yeah.
You know, they're getting towards the season finale. And I got actually a prediction that has to do with our YouTube commenters.
Okay.
I wrote a whole page, but I'm going to try to sum it up here. But we've been having some really cool, conversations on YouTube, and people have really good theories about, just the little things that they're picking up. And one of the things I wanted to point out is that in Dead to Rights, when Malcolm is making his speech at the Humanitarian Awards, and he mentions he's been gone for 2 years, and he met a man at this place called Nanda Parbat. I'd never heard of it. And then one of our YouTube commenters said, it has to do with Ra's al Ghul and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, I want to know more about this place. So I Googled it. And it is in the comic books. And, they do, in Malcolm's speech, he does mention he met a man. And many of our YouTube commenters are thinking maybe that it's going to integrate with Ra's al Ghul. And for those that aren't familiar with that character, if you've seen the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, that character is portrayed by Liam Neeson. And so he is in the Batman comics one of his biggest, if not the biggest, villain for Batman. And so if Malcolm is indeed trained by Ra's al Ghul,
oh, he's gonna be
that's
one bad
gonna be
mofo.
scary. That's definitely gonna be scary. And one of the cool things about this place that they said is that it's almost like a fountain of youth. There's a lot of power and energy in it. So when you go and visit this place, you almost become immortal, and you feel like you haven't aged, where in fact if you leave the place, you actually realize it feels like you lived there for decades, but then when you leave, it feels like you've only been there for maybe a week or something. So maybe I don't think that's why they casted John Barrowman, but maybe that's why he kind of has that look of
timelessness,
like he's been using something on his face or whatever. But maybe that's why.
Ra's al Ghul, well, I know him as Ra's al Ghul. Like, doesn't he also continuously drops himself into like a pool of immortalness too?
Yes,
so,
yes, at the Lazarus pits. So I mean, there's kind of like a parallel going on. I don't know if that's where they're going, but I love the commentary we're having on the YouTube page.
I can't imagine how they would put Ra's al Ghul into this.
It's a big character.
He's a really big character.
Yeah.
I even know a lot about him. So
we'll see.
But that concludes our after show tonight. Thank you for joining us. Where can we find you guys during the week?
You can find me on Twitter at Ann Campea.
And you can also find me on Twitter at KissMyPassport, or you can find me on YouTube under television host Alikona Bradford.
And you can find me at KAORIOUS on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram. That's just my name everywhere. And you can find everyone here at AfterBuzzTV.com or AfterBuzz on Twitter. Thanks for joining us.
Yay!
Thank you.
Good night.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.